This is the three biggest lies society tells young men every single day. Now, as I walk here right now on the Palm in Dubai, I actually live here now. And a lot of the time, society used to tell me, myself, that I need to go to university, I need to be in control of absolutely everything, and I don't need to work that hard because the framework and my degree will allow me to get me there, with whatever job that I want. Well, it's actually all BS. And let me tell you why. Society has a framework which they want everyone to be equal, especially from countries that are extremely developed and extremely governed to allow people to actually follow their framework so they have complete control of equality. And I come from the country of Australia. And that country does exactly that. If someone is actually extremely successful, they have a different mindset and they stand out, well, this type of society says we don't want that because they become a danger to other people wanting to actually break free and live a different type of life. And a lot of the time, these governments or these societies, they make money from the framework. And let me ask you a question, and I'll tell you why in a second. The first question is, would you rather just pay for the straight information that's going to fast track you 10 years of going back and forth on learning how to actually generate an income or actually put a business together or actually understand a framework which might even be love for you and get the answers straight away within 1 or 2 months? Or would you rather spend 5 years and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars or even $100,000 to go to university to get taught from someone that hasn't even done the thing that they're teaching? Like, have a professional career where you're self-sustained, like these lecturers apparently that have started their own businesses and have been super successful. Well, they wouldn't be a lecturer at university, and they charge you $100,000 for it. A lot of the time, on the contrary, you can get a lot of these courses, or you can reach out to a mentor that will charge you $5,000 or $10,000, and you'll fast track your success times 10, and you'll be able to start up a business in 30 days rather than 5 years. So you have to ask yourself these questions. And society lies to you about these three things that I'm going to tell you now that have really just broken the mindset of so many men out there, I can see. Now, the first one is thinking you need an education. Guys, you don't need a freaking education, right? I have studied a double degree, a master's in podiatric medicine and a bachelor in health science. You do not need an education because it doesn't guarantee you direct success. Don't get me wrong, the education might enlighten you about certain topics or give you a framework to understand, but it's going to cost you 5 years and $100,000. The second thing that's the most important is they outline that if you have an education, you don't need to work that hard. You need to go to a 9 to 5 because you may burn out. Guys, if you seriously want something in your life, you are going to work as hard as you can for it because you know the end result. Now, let me ask you a question. If you needed to really get in touch with your mother and you knew it was extremely urgent and you were concerned about her health, or you wanted to give her really positive news because you know that would make her whole month, and if you didn't know about the news, then you know that she'd be upset because she isn't enlightened on what's going on in your life, would you just try once and then maybe try the next day or the day after, in a certain time frame because someone's told you not to call your mother? Or would you call her 3 times so she gets the idea that it is urgent? You're going to put in the effort and call her 3 times, right? And actually ensure that she knows it's urgent. And people don't approach the world like that. They're like, just do what you have to do and get by and do the 9 to 5. And, people will somehow rock up, turn up at your door and give you business. You've got to put in the work, right? You've got to show the market that you're hungry, that you're willing to do more. And when you're willing to do more, people actually have more trust in you rather than going, oh, he's just Joe and Blow, and same as everyone else. So you have to put in the work and you will get where you want to get. And it should come from a place of obsession and passion rather than actually mediocrity, because mediocrity breeds failure and laziness, and people don't even want that in the market. So you have to get that component right. Now, the most important and the last one is people think and convince men that they only have to do this one thing and that's going to make them successful. And that one thing is you need to go and get a job. People don't teach anyone how to run businesses. And businesses is what allows people to become free. Because if you're working for someone, you're just building their business. And in the end of the day, it's a capitalist world. And people start businesses so people can work for them. And because they're working for them, they're actually just trading whatever value they're getting from each individual person at a higher level or at a higher rate. And people are paying for that. So the arbitrage, or the difference between what they're paying you as the worker to what they're then charging someone else, that's their margin. And people don't teach anyone how to actually build a business because it's not taught in standard schools. And imagine if everyone was taught how to build an actual business, it can start to set them free. And this is exactly what I did. I never went to a university to learn how to do a business. I literally learnt it on myself. And to date, I've had businesses that have turned over 8 figures. Now, over my career, I've purchased 45 properties, and more importantly, the properties are positioned to actually cash flow you at the end of each week, so they are fully self-sustained, and then one day I won't even have to run a business. That's the goal. So if you're in that position right now as a man, and you're like, how do I get out? I've been told all these lies, and you have this ability to actually move yourself forward. I'll speak from my personal opinion and my personal standpoint. Is I started businesses, and you can too, that allowed me to cash flow every single week. My most profitable business was always to do with property, and I got into even subleasing, even coming to a new country, because I had to start again. And I've shown this. At 30, I had to start again. I'm 31 now. By coming to a new country and really just doing it all over again. And I started subleasing, where I started renting properties, and from renting those individual properties, I just re-rent them as short-term rentals, and that's where you get your margin, right? And then from there, you can then purchase properties as well. The properties, then you implement the exact same model because your costs are lower than the actual rent. So your arbitrage level or your profit margins are even bigger if you run the short-term rentals inside the properties that you own, plus using the equity because the properties are actually appreciating or growing in value every single year, which is increasing your net wealth astronomically every single year. That you can just go and purchase more property, and that becomes the business itself because you're getting more cash from having more property every single week, plus you're getting more cash from the equity and the capital gains that it's increasing by every single week as well. So that is the best business model that I've been able to implement to date, and I'm on the journey from 45 to 100 properties, and I want to actually document that whole journey every single day so I know what I'm doing moving forward. So the next steps in my journey, so I can come back to this in the future, is we are going to completely occupy all our properties and build a foundation, because there's still $200,000 a year worth to unlock by the time I make these conversions across one commercial site in New South Wales. And how many units? 3 individual units were converted to short-term rentals right now. So it's the start of September, and once we do that, that's going to unlock $200,000 worth of income per year, and then we're going to go and repeat that process and purchase more property. Guys, we're on this journey, and I hope you guys are as well. This is a very new format that I'm doing on YouTube, which is called Raw, where there's just no edits. It's just straight talking. If you guys like this format, just let me know, and also just show your love. It actually helps me a lot more because I can then continue to make this type of content, and you can track the journey from 45 to 100 properties. Until the next one, I hope you guys realize that they are the 3 biggest lies that men are told, so you can get started on your own journey as well. Peace out.